Okay, I was able to get some charge back and actually got the videos uploaded. So I don't have a lot of time, but I can probably get at least another hour here. So let's see what we can do. It's the Germans' turn, or is it? Well, the Germans went with these blue guys, and then we went with what? That's right, we went and we ended up having to put our reserve units way in the back there because of that stupid von der Height thing. I meant to look up von der Height because von der Height does have special rules. So let's make sure. Von der Height 12.37, 13.12, and 17.1. Let's see here. I know, I should have looked this up before I hit start. I apologize. Do not draw a combat card for combat tactics if you're attacking the von der Height, even if it's in supply. Okay, that's the first rule. The next one, 13.12. This one's just saying that von der Height could be out of supply, even though there was a rule that says Germans are always in supply. And then 17.1. This is probably just saying that they score points. Yep, it is. Okay, so there's nothing, it's a unit, just like anything else. So yeah, we're gonna have to just live with it. It's their turn. Draw 2 cards. Uh-oh, we got an army card. See that 7th Army? That's a special set of rules. So let's, right here. Locate non-bracketed unit in army with the most non-bracketed army. Activate all those units plus bracketed units within range. If tied, the unit furthest from the objective. Also activate the reserve units in the same corps as on-map active units. Okay, so the army card for sure, well, hold on. We actually drew 2 army cards, look at that. Holy cow. So the 6th Panzer Army is trumping the 7th, so it's gonna be the command card. The other one's going to be the support card. Okay, so all kinds of strangeness is happening now with these army cards. First of all, there's no event on the 7th Army card, so we don't have to worry about that. So the card's going to either be a support card or something else. The big thing here is that yeah, so for army cards, we're going to locate non-bracketed card. We read this already, and we're going to activate everything that's within that. That's fine. But then include units in the German reserve from the same corps as any of the on-map active units. So what's going to happen is these reserve units are going to come out of the reserve and actually join the battle. That's something new here. So hold on a second, I have to sneeze. Sorry about that. Okay. So we're doing the 6th Panzer Army first, okay? So the 6th Panzer Army you can see is this later gray or blue, and this happens to be from the 6th Panzer Army, this unit. We also have a unit from the 7th Army there, and we happen to have both of the cards drawn. But right now, this unit is in the reserves. See, it was sitting here, and so what's gonna happen is it's gonna move to the reserve, I'm pretty sure. That's what's happening with that. Gosh darn it. This is the problem with being gone for 2 weeks. I had this all figured out before. It's just that we haven't run into it because on December 16th, these cards aren't available. Boy, I hit record and I've just spent the whole time just looking up rules. Because the biggest thing to understand is that the German units do not go into the reserve pool during the reserve phase, like our units do. They only come out when the Army cards come out, or it could be the Army group card. That's what I'm trying to make sure I understand. Okay. Here we go. Army Group B command card. All German reserve units start play in the calendar and remain there until released to the reserve units box by the Army Group B card. When this card is drawn, regardless of what it's drawn for, take all German units from the current and previous days, place them in the reserve units box. At the time, take all German reinforcement cards due to enter play on the current date and shuffle them into the remaining German draw pile. At the same time, take all German reinforcement cards due to enter play. Okay, so the cards that are supposed to enter play don't come in right away either. That's a good thing to remember for the future. The reserve release function Army Group B card is an addition to whatever it does. So you're still going to play the card. So here's the interesting thing. The Army Group B card is what brings them out. So that reserve unit is actually not available for the Army card. Because the Army card, of course, is going to deploy those reserves. However, the Army Group B card has not come out yet. So these reserves are not available until that happens. And that's the interesting sequence here. That's why I wanted to look this up. I knew there was like some kind of weird interaction between them. Yeah, so this is just repeating, what you do with an Army card. Also activate reserve units in the same corps, but it's reserve units. They don't move into the reserve until you do the Army Group B. And that's what this is saying that we just finished reading. Okay, so we got the right sequence figured out. These reserve Army cards are just going to do Army things. And so I'm going to put this guy back into the December 16th box. Okay, so we're just going to do the 6th Army, and you can see here that it's going to activate, and it's got the same text here. We're going to pick a unit that has the most 6th Panzer Army units within 2 hexes. And whatever unit we picked is a non-bracketed one. There's going to be a lot of choices here. The 6th Panzer Army, as you know, is up here. It includes this red corps and the yellow. It does not include these ones down here. So for example, if I pick this unit right here, you can see 2 in every direction, except that's a bracketed one. Oh, it just says activate a unit with the most non-bracketed units around it. Okay, so it doesn't matter that I pick a unit that's bracketed. So like for example, these 3 wouldn't count towards the count because they're bracketed. However, you can see there's a pile load of other German units. So this red one's going to join in. These 2 won't make the cut. And I could try to pick a spot up here to get these 2 in the cut, but then I'm losing all these down here. So it's not going to work out. So we're activating all of them. And the fact that it's 6th and 7th Panzer Army is very interesting. Okay, so we got the big challenge of doing the move. Remember, we're going to start with the lowest, well, it depends on which move step we're on. But right now we're starting with the lowest and going up. No one's exiting the map. No one's going adjacent to the muse. No one can move into a VP hex. Can they move to a hex closer to the objective and adjacent to a VP hex? Well, there's two VP hexes here. There's this one and this one. This one's probably not going to be a factor, but this one is a factor. And the question is, can they move there and also be closer to their objective, which is here? And the answer, of course, is yes for many of these. So, for example, this one is going to be one of them. And there's some rules that trump everything. So, for example, if you can reach an unoccupied hex adjacent to the same allied unit, move to that hex instead. So, for example, this unit could easily just go boop here and be adjacent to the VP, but his priority is if he can get to one of these other ones that's also adjacent to him, he's going to do that as a priority. And then he's going to try to not be attacking across a river, which is not an issue with this one. And I'm sure somewhere in here he's going to try to do surround. But right now, to move into an empty allied VP hex and stop, no, move to a hex closer to unit's army objective and adjacent to allied VP hex. That's what he wants to do. That's the first one. And actually the very next command after this is cause surround. But this is in ascending order, so we start with the lowest number first. And the lowest number is Piper, here. He has 6 movement points, so he can move here for 1. This would end his movement, because he's going to end up next to them. Actually, no. He can go here for 2, and then he can come out here for 2 more for 4, and then go there for 5. That's an interesting play. He can also just go straight forward to here and be that way. Which one would he do? I think he would choose the they both get him closer to the objective. I think he would choose the one that most matches his arrows, so he will go here. That's actually a really tough call for me in terms of what he would do. Would he try to go all the way around, or would he just go forward? I think he would just go forward, because this is an empty space, and now he's consuming that empty space. Okay? So now we go to the next lowest guy, which is, I believe, this 10 right here. Well, the next lowest is this one, but these guys aren't going to move. They're already there. I could actually argue that since there's 2 guys here, that this one would actually leave the spot and try to go elsewhere. Yeah, I guess he would, wouldn't he? He would go here for 2 and here for 3. Problem is he doesn't have enough movement to get all the way around. This would be 2, and then that would be 3, like that. I don't know if they would split up like that or not, but that's technically speaking, he's not going to move to there because he's already next to the VP. So we're just going to stay there. He's not going to do anything because we're on the spot where we're moving to a hex closer to the army's objective. All right, so that would mean this guy. So he's got a movement of 4. He's on a road, so he can go here for 1, here for 2, and then he can either go here or there for 3, 4. So we're just going to go follow the arrow, right? So he's going to go here. So now we're at a stacking limit there. So then we go to the next number, which is 11. This one also has a move of 4, 1, 2. Can't go here, but he can go there, so he will do that. So then we keep going. We have, oh, I'm sorry, these are two numbers that are higher. They both have a movement of 5, so they would go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm sorry. This would go back, and he would go back. This one would go there, and that one would go there. So now they're at stacking limit. So this one has a movement of 4. He cannot get next to that. He just doesn't have the movement points. None of them do, in fact. Well, let me look at the broken terrain. This one can. So which one's lower number? Actually, he's a 27. He's a 15. Okay, so this 27 here would actually move here for 1, and he can move there for 2. This would be 2 more for 4, and that would be 1 more for 5. So not only would he get next to this, but he would actually create surround as well. He could have moved here, but between the two, I think this was the better priority because it creates surround. I'm making this up. There's nothing that's telling me that that is what I should do. It's just saying move adjacent to the VP hex, and then it needs to be unoccupied as a top priority. So I got 2 unoccupied choices. So, you know, I could pick whichever one's closest to my objective. Well, they're both equidistant, so I'm going to pick the one that causes surround. I think that's the better choice. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a rule somewhere that covers this. It's just it's not in the player aid, and I don't feel like looking it up. I know that sounds pouty, but that's sort of my limit with this game. Is, you know, if they don't bother putting it in the player aid, then that means it's a rule they never cared for us to do. So I'm going to do that. It's the right move. I mean, if you were playing the game, that's what you would do. So anyways, I don't know. I know it says do not move units starting adjacent to a VP hex if the allied strength is less than 5. The allied strength is actually 6, so that's not an issue. Do not move a unit if it's currently surrounding an allied unit. Do not leave a town or whatever vacant if it would cause supply issues, and do not do a move that causes... Oh, here we go, tiebreakers. Closest to army objective, furthest in objective compass direction. And then northernmost. So the objective compass direction is west. So between these two choices, he would pick the westernmost and then the northernmost. So there it is. It actually is in a so my pouting session, I apologize. I pouted and it's right here in the player aid. I just didn't see it. So it does say, that's where this west comes in, right? That west is determining between these two, which one do you prefer? We prefer the westernmost and then the northernmost. So this one is the preferred one in both of those tiebreakers. So, okay, back to the regularly scheduled program. Next lowest number is this one for 31, and he can move 1, 2, 3 like that. And that is where he would prioritize because this is an empty position. And then this one can go 1, 2, 3, and you know, it doesn't explicitly say it, but they would want to be together because 2 bracketed units together actually create a zone of control. Unfortunately, well, actually this one can go 1, 2, 3, and the reason why is this is 3 pips, 2 pips, and 1. It's a 6 pip limit or a 3 unit limit, and normally you can only get 2 units with Piper, but because this is only a 1 pip unit, it's now able to go with Piper. Except one problem. This one is a lower number. Now this one is a 15. He gets a priority, but there's nowhere for him to go. Okay, so we're not done with movement. We just moved a whole bunch of them. So let's continue here. Actually, this one's a 5. He would not leave this west wall hex because that would allow them to get supply. Because remember, that's part of the rule. Okay, let's keep going. Can we cause surround? I don't think we can. Move adjacent to allied VP hex. A unit already adjacent moves to another VP hex only if closer to the army objective. It's really funny, but number 5 and number 2 are almost identical. Except number 5 does not care if you're closer to the army objective, unless you're moving from one VP to another. Okay, we can't get next to the objective because we already tried that with all the units. So we're gonna move on. Move to an empty town. There is an empty town here. So we are gonna go there, and this one is the lowest number, number 10. So he will go there and get into the town, and that will, it has to be an allied town. Move to a German town only if allied supply can be traced. Okay, so technically speaking, this is a German town. I don't know, where did my markers go? Technically, we took this town. Okay, can allied supply be traced? And my answer is yes, no. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, but now it's in zone of control of this guy. It used to be, until very recently, traceable. He's not going to go there. Enter, well, and this is actually only for non-mechanized units, so that's the other thing. Because we're doing non-movement methods 5 through 9, they only apply to infantry. Okay, so let's keep going. Enter a town occupied only by German armor. Well, he would want to go here, but there's no room for him at the inn, so we can't do anything there. Okay, follow movement arrows. So this is where they would use their full movement with preference given to primary arrows. Avoid ending move adjacent to allied unit if possible. You must use your full movement. You can ignore zone of control for the first move. So we start with this guy. He would go 1, 2, 3, because that's where his arrow is pointing. And then he's stuck. He can't use his last movement point. He can only move if he uses the full movement, and he was not able to. So he could do 1 and then secondary arrow of 2, but then he's stuck again. So he cannot move using this method. So then we go to the next lowest one. That's this guy. His big arrow is pointing here. That's a 2. And then this is 2 more for 4. So he's able to move just fine. Then we go to the next one, which is this guy. And that's a 15. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, like so. And then this guy goes last. This one goes, sorry. His big arrow is pointing him into the town, and there's problems with that because once he goes into the town, he can't move anymore. So his secondary arrow is pointing nowhere. There is no secondary arrow, so he's not moving. This one, however, will. 1, 2, 3. So we have 2 units that have still not yet moved. Actually, technically 3. Yeah. Okay, next one. Move closer to army objective. If there's more than one hexes closer, move adjacent to an allied unit, which would have greater than 3-to-1 strength. Okay, so what's interesting is, for example, these guys may end up attacking him, but these guys are going to count towards strength with him. So both of these units are going to move to the town like this, because that's closer to the objective and it's adding to the strength of this, which is also helping him. Okay? I could have made some mistakes here, but I think that I tried to stay as true to the AI as I could. The only thing that it was giving me fits was the decision to surround, which I eventually found the rules that supported that. If I did something wrong, I still think the AI did a pretty darn good move here. The only thing that's wonky is that these three ended up not being able to fight, and I think a real human player would have maybe been able to move stuff around in a way that these three could have come in. But anyways, I'm not going to belabor that. The good thing here is I think this was a solid move for them, and there's a lot of possible attacks. Okay, I was taking the time to determine whether there's going to be attack here and here before we actually resolve them. But we're going to do this the way the rules say, and we have to start with the lowest number, which is actually the Piper unit. And Piper is here. And this is interesting because Piper can attack 3 different units. So which one's he going to do? Okay, so it says check units in ascending order, which is the Piper unit. For eligibility to lead an attack against an adjacent enemy occupied hex, calculate the situational strength of the opposing units. And then it gives us, a big formula for how to figure out the situational strength. And then you use this ratio to determine if an attack occurs. But it doesn't say what to do when you have more than one choice. So I may have to look this up in the rules. It says, it does reference section 9.5, so let's go check that out. Okay, so there's one clarification already right off the bat. When you're determining whether or not an attack occurs, it says you only use units that have at least 2 steps. Oh, okay, that's why it says check multi-step units. Okay, it does say it in the player aid. I just never understood what that meant. Okay, never mind. All right. Okay. Still reading. Here we go. 9.51 on page 32. If a German unit is adjacent to more than one Allied occupied hex, calculate the situational strength ratio against each target. Conduct the attack check with the highest ratio. If the ratio is tied, check a VP hex first. Okay, so they want us to attack whichever one comes out with the highest ratio. And we include all possible units in the check, which makes sense. Okay, so what it's saying is we're going to use all of these units to get a ratio against this. We're going to use this stack to get a ratio against just that guy. And then we're going to use these 3 stacks to get a ratio against him, because the paper unit is here. So let's just try to do the simpler one first here. So this is 4, 7, 9, 10, 14, and 6 is 20 against 3, and there's a forest there, so that would make it 4. So that's 5 to 1. That's a pretty good ratio. This one is 1, 5, and 6 is 11 against 2, but it's in a forest, so that would make it 3. It is dispersed, so that subtracts 1 to make it 2. So 11 to 2 is also 5 to 1. In fact, this is actually even better odds to just attack these two. Very interesting. 4, 7, 9, 10, 14. Yeah, this is exactly 5 to 1. This is just slightly better than 5 to 1. Very interesting. So then, I think we said this was 11, right? 6, 10, 11, and 21, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 against 6. They're not going to get any bonuses. And that's exactly 5 to 1 odds. So very interesting. Piper in this stack is only going to attack those disrupted units. Wow. Okay. It's an automatic attack. We don't have to roll a die because it's 11 to 1. Since they're dispersed, attacker suffers 1 less hit in the attack. Also, the whoever's dispersed does not get the draw for undetected defender, which is in our case is no big deal. It may also only retreat 1 hex when applying hits. Okay, so for determining things, 1, 2 for being elite, 3 for having 3 pips, 4 for this, nothing for that. And here's what's crazy. This is going to be applied because it gets applied to the first possible battle. So we're going to have artillery and assault coordination. So this is 6 and 7, but there is no assault coordination that's going to happen with this because there's nobody adjacent to it that can help. So it's really interesting, but it is going to give them 7 chits to draw. And then we're going to draw another card. And they have combat engineers, which makes it 8 and gives them another +1 to their strength. So very interesting. We're going to end up losing their 7th Army card over something so trivial. But they're going to draw 8. And let's see what comes out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I drew 8 exactly. All right, is there attacker artillery? Yes, there is. Is there forest, woods, or broken? It is woods, so we do get a D-1. Is it dispersed? Yes. Is it city or forest? It's forest. Is it greater than 6 to 1? It is not. We did get +1 strength, so that was 11 to 2. So that makes it 12 to 2. We are 6 to 1 odds. So what did I say? Yeah, we are 6 to 1. So that combat engineer added +1. Defender artillery, nope. Attacker artillery, yes. Attacker artillery, yes. And only the attacker has armor. That is also true. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits on us. But we subtract 3 hits because of this. So we cancel 3. So I'm going to just take 1, 2, 3 off the table. We still have 2, 3, 4 hits on us. We get to retreat once and we have 2 pips left, so we're eliminated. 2 units are eliminated. Now, he did get hit from something. Something hit him, but it doesn't matter because he gets to absorb 2 from this, and he also gets to absorb 1 more because we were dispersed. Maybe he didn't get hit, but it doesn't matter. Our 2 units get destroyed. And that means I'm going to put these in the bucket. That means the Germans just scored another victory point. So they're up to 3 now. And we're going to start with the Piper unit. This is not his primary direction. It's not into a town, and it's not closer. It's an other route, and so he will not advance. In fact, nobody will. So the table says that if you're doing another route, it's no, no, no. See that? So nobody's advancing. Everybody's just going to stay put. So it's interesting because it's a move I wouldn't have done, but the move was actually brilliant because they just scored a victory point and eliminated 2 of my units. I probably would have just tried to attack something else, but that's not how it rolls. And let's see how the rest of this plays out now. So this stack is done, but we still have number 2 is this stack. So he's going to try to do an attack, but he can't include them. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 to 6. Okay, there's no other modifiers that I'm aware of. So that's 3 to 1 odds. So now we're rolling a die to see if they attack. And I rolled a 2. They're going to be aggressive. So they're attacking no matter what. So I don't need to apply any other modifiers. Yeah, they're attacking. There's nothing that could possibly change the outcome now. Okay, so we're going to draw the card for them. Infantry infiltration. It doesn't do them anything, but it will give them +1 to their chits. So here we have 1. Nothing for them. 2, 3, 4. The 4th one because he's elite. And then 5. So 5 chits +1 from the combat tactic. I actually don't like their chances on this one, but let's see how it turns out. They're going to get to draw 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the first one, only the attacker has armor. That is true. The second one, what are the odds, we said? It was 3 to 1. So it's not less than 3 to 1, and it's not greater than 5 to 1, so this is out. This is equal to 3 to 1. So this one's in. Only the attacker has combined arms. That is true. Flank attack would have been true, except it's a town. And combat engineer is not true in this case. Defender recon is also not true. So out. So we are taking 3 hits and he's taking 1. That's actually pretty impressive for him. Okay, we cancel 1 of the hits because we're in a town. So we're taking 2 hits. So now I'm going to look at the cheat sheet here because I'm sitting in a victory point hex. I'm not sure I want to retreat. I'm looking up to see if I can for allied step loss, I get to apply it to a unit of my choice. So that part's good. If a German is attacking with assault coordination, the attacker ignores 1 hit. I didn't even know that. That's actually really impressive. That must be specific to this game versus the German solo game. Defending units may either retreat 1 hex to satisfy 1 hit, or 2 hexes and becomes dispersed to satisfy 2 hits. All other hits must be satisfied by step loss. That's the defender rule. And yeah, so we're taking 2 hits. So what do I do? Do I give up the VP hex so easily and retreat? I can't, because I'm surrounded. So if I retreat, I take a step loss anyways. So I'm going to take a step loss with both units, but I'm going to stay in the town. I'm not retreating. And they do have some good strength, even though they're bracketed, which is good. And then they take a step loss. So now we have to go where they have the most steps. So this has 6 steps, and this also has 6 steps. So now we need another tiebreaker. The tiebreaker, when you have 2 units with 2 stacks with 6 steps, is the highest selector number. And then finally we choose. So this one's a 32, but he's not eligible. That's a 5, 4, 2, 3. So this guy here with the 5 is going to take the hit. So nothing happens. Nobody's advancing. We are in trouble, and I'm holding on. So that ends their turn. Boy, there was a lot of new things that came up on this particular turn that we hadn't experienced yet. So I'm sure that'll be quite the talker whenever that video is being viewed by some folks. We're not done yet, actually, with the turn. We got one more. I forgot. All these units have been activated, but these 2 have not. So 3, 5, 4 is 9 to 3. That's 3 to 1. So let's roll. It's not 3 to 1. This is a 4 because it's in a forest. So 9 to 4 is 2 to 1. I rolled a 4. If it's less than 2 to 1, they won't attack. Unfortunately, it's 2 to 1, so they will. So we got 1, 2 for being 3 pips, 3 and 4, and then 5 for the elite. We're going to draw a card. Oh my gosh, we drew the Army Group B Model as the tactic card. So the tactic is artillery and assault coordination and combat engineers. 3 combat tactics. Assault coordination is one of them. So that means another stack that's next to them can join. And combat engineers gives them a +1 strength. Boy, okay, so I don't know if that was a good thing getting it for this reason or not. So let's look up a couple of things. First of all, the assault coordination. All friendly units adjacent to the enemy unit participate in attack even if not activated, but unactivated units do not advance. Okay, so here's what's funny is, so we can actually include the Piper stack. So we'll do that. Then the combat engineers are going to add 1 to their strength, and that's basically it for that. And then the last one is artillery. And then here's the crazy thing. If German, assault coordination reduces the total hits incurred by the Germans by 1. So even if we hit them, they get to absorb 1 hit because of assault coordination. That is super powerful for them. Okay, so they all went from 4, 7, 9, 10, 16, 19 to 3. So that's 6 to 1 odds. They're going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 because of the tactics. 9, 10, and then 11 because it's 3 pips. Holy cow, 11 chits. I have a feeling we're gonna lose. 11 chits and 6-1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and one more for 11. Okay. Greater than 1.5 to 1. It is a large attack. It is a flank attack. There's no air power. It is neither of these. It's greater than 4 to 1. Only the attacker has combined arms. It is in a forest. What's the other side? Yep. It's not a city. What is it? Yeah, there's no city or town there. Okay, it's neither of these. It is a flank attack. Is there a defender adjacent? Yes, there is. This does not apply. So defender is adjacent. Okay, so defender adjacent is going to cancel 1 hit. The forest is going to cancel another hit. So I'm going to just put it like this. Actually, these two I can throw in the bucket. I don't need to keep them. Okay, so that's the situation. We took 2, 3, 4 hits. 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 5 hits is more than enough to kill our unit, because if we were treated by 2, right, that's going to absorb 2 of them, and then we have to apply 3 more hits. We only have 2 pips, so our elite unit is eliminated, and that's actually very, very sad. That's gone. Now, here's the cool thing. They're taking 1, 2, 3 hits themselves. Now, granted, since they did the assault coordination, they get to absorb 1 of them. So this one's gone. I'm going to get rid of these 2. So they have 2 hits that they have to take. Now, the sheet says that they will take the first hit for sure. The first hit is going to be a step loss, and then for the second hit, we're going to roll a die. So let's roll a die. I rolled a 5. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, right here, 5. Okay, so the hold value of the spot is just a 2. So that's not less than that. But is it less than the number of pips they have? They have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They'll lose 1 because of the first hit. So 5 is for sure less than 10. And if that's the case, they're going to take step losses for both. They're not going to allow themselves to be disrupted, is the answer to the question. So we're going to apply 2 hits. It has to be against 2 different stacks. Can't be the same stack. The first hit is going to go against the 4 pip unit. It's not even a question. That's the top priority. The second hit is now going to go towards a 3 or a 2 pip unit that's in the largest stack of pips. So this one is not eligible. So this is 3 pips here, and that's 3, 4, 5 pips there. And here's what's unfortunate. That means Piper's taken the hit, because these 2 are both single step units. This is the only one that's multiple steps. So Piper takes the hit, even though these guys probably would have been the better choice. So done. Now, the question is, none of these have arrows moving to that spot, okay? So that spot is considered another, and I'm looking again. Nobody wants to advance there, so nobody will. So now their turn is over. Boy, what a turn. And they did very well. I mean, I'm a little jealous. So when I'm the Germans, I don't do that well. But then again, my assault coordinations don't, I don't get to use the entire stack of cards like they do. And my assault coordinations don't absorb hits. But they are taking a lot of damage, even though they're doing well. They have a lot of damage. So, okay, so now it's to us, and we're in a pickle. But I don't have any more 5th Corps units, so I can't, do anything. I'm tempted to do this and either and just activate one unit in that 5th Corps and actually move one of those units that's up along the edge of the map next to the Vonderheit to start creating some pressure. Also to help protect from the onslaught that's happening. But actually what I'm going to do is this one first. I'm going to move the 10th Armored Division. So that's the next move I'm going to do. And the 10th Armor is just this one unit, but it's a pretty simple thing. I'm going to go 1, 2, well actually I'm going to just go 2 to here and then 2 more to there because I want to get into the town. I don't want to stop here. So I'm going to go into the town and we're going to beef this up. So we have 8 strength in this town. These guys are screwed. They are not going to do anything to us. Okay, that's unfortunately our entire turn. I do probably want to get some roadblocks down as my next turn. So let's draw 2 cards. And this one is clearly the winner. So it's going to be the purple units, which is another fearsome squad. And they are a lot stronger. But their event is Bridge Engineers. See that? So let's see if they do the Bridge Engineer event. They actually might this time. Let me check. Yes, they will. This here is a destroyed bridge, so they're going to repair it. So that is now repaired, and this bridge is now theirs. I probably should mark it to show that the Germans do control that bridge. Technically, they don't control this one yet. But yeah, okay. So that's the event. So that causes this card to go away. But this one is activating all units in the core. And that is going to be a pickle for us because we're surrounded here. And even though I got close, I couldn't get in to help him. Let's see how this plays out. So we got to do the big movement thing again. So can they exit the map adjacent to the Muse? No and no. Can they move into an empty allied VP hex and stop? Well, we do have an allied VP hex here. So can they move there though? This one, in order to move there, would have to go into here, which is 3 movement points to get into the woods because he's mechanized. Not going to happen. If he was able to go through him, sure, he could have made it, but that's not going to be the case here. Can they cause surround? Well, this unit's already surrounded, so these 2 are not going to move because they're causing the surround. Can the rest of them cause surround? Well, that would require them to get across this river, which they can't. Or they'd have to walk all the way up and around and over, and I don't think they can. It's just not happening. This is the spot they would have to get to. Would have been easier, like this unit, yeah, it's not going to happen. Okay, so they can't do that. Can they open a supply line? Well, I don't think they have any supply issues, so no worries there. Next one only applies to infantry. That would be these ones. So these, can they move adjacent to an allied VP hex? No. Can they move to an empty town? It's an empty allied town, so we should clarify that this one is already taken, so they're not going to move to that town. The answer is no. They can't get to an empty town either. Can they enter a town that's occupied only by German armor? No. There's no town to worry about there. Okay, so now we're done with the stuff that's only non-mechanized. So now we're back to everybody again. Follow the movement arrows. Remember, use full movement and can ignore zone of control for the first move. So that's important. And we start with the lowest number first. This one's a 3. This is a 2. Oh, see, now he can ignore zone of control for the first movement and follow his arrows to there for 1, and then go 2, and then 3. Hold on. That would not be 1, that would be 2 points. This would be 2 more for 4, and that'd be 1 more for 5. Okay, so he could technically do that. However, I need to look at the restrictions. Do not move if currently surrounded allied unit would become unsurrounded. So because of the nature of his number being 2, let's say some other unit would have moved. This thing could have been surrounded some other way, but because of the order of activation, this one's not going to move because his moving would cause this to become no longer surrounded. So okay, so I was just checking the rule for surround. It says that the rule for surround specifically says that zone of control is on all 6 hexes around this unit, and it doesn't matter if there's friendly units nearby. Supply is not a factor, it's just zone of control. That's what causes surround. So he's not going to move, at least for this particular rule. He's not going to move. Now, we move on to this one, and he wants to move here, obviously, but that would cause him to stop. So he can go along the secondary arrow, that would be a 1, and then he can do the primary arrow of a 2, and then he can go secondary arrow for 4, and primary arrow for 5 would get him to here, which is interesting. He would give preference to primary arrows. I'm just looking. So for tiebreakers, he's going to go towards the army objective. I mean, if he follows the primary arrows up, he's going that way. I mean, I think at some point, him going this way has to be superseded by the fact that he's moving away from his objective, even though that's where the primary arrows are. So that's the part I'm struggling with this. He would not move here because he's not using his full movement. He would move here because the secondary arrow is allowed, so that's easy peasy, so that's 1. He would move here because that's his primary arrow, so that's 2. Now his primary arrow wants to keep moving him away from his objective, so I would say this is 3, 4, because that's his secondary arrow. So primary arrow gets preference, but the secondary arrow is moving towards his objective. So that would be 4, and now his primary arrow is moving him back for 5. He is allowed to end his turn next to an ally if he's done his full movement. It does say try to avoid that, but that's only if there's, like for example, when he was here, he had a choice to move this way or that way. He would have chosen this way. But now that he's here, he only has 1 movement point left. He doesn't have a choice to go here or even there. I mean, he only has a choice to go here. So now he could have used a choice to go backwards, which is his secondary arrow. I just don't... the rules do say for him he would prefer to do that, but it's not closer to an army objective. So let's say that he doesn't do that movement. His very next movement action is telling him to move next to a unit. Actually, it would tell him to move here. So I'm going to look it up again in the rule book. I think, I don't think they would just move along the arrows willy-nilly. You know, it does say, it says move along the arrows, and I mean, it flat out says primary arrows first, and in this situation where it could move next to an ally or it could move the secondary route, it says take the secondary route. It says nothing about moving towards the objective. That's crazy. Now the very next one says move towards the objective. So if I were to follow the movement rule, as it says, I would try to go primary. I can't. So then I'm going to go secondary. That's 1. Now I'm going primary. 2, 3, 4. And this is primary, that's secondary, but I have no choice. So 5, I'm now all of a sudden all the way up there. That's what it said to do. Okay, so now we go to the next one, which is 9. That's this guy. He's in zone of control, so he can't just, cross the river. If he did this, this would cost him 2 movement points. He can't go anywhere. He would actually cause them to lose surround, so we're skipping him. Oh, I'm sorry. Way back here, there's a 4. And then a 6 and a 10. So this is the next guy, this one right here. So there's an arrow here. So this is 3 movement points. This is 4. That's 5. He moved his full movement. Then we go to this one. 3, 4, 5. And this one would be 3, 4, 5. So all 3 of them move there. We have, oh crap. I think this one was hit. So we have 13 next. He's with a injured unit, so he's staying. This one's next. This is 3, 4. He can't do full movement, so he does not do the movement. This one would go 1. Can't go there, so he'd go here for 2, and then he would go 3, 4, 5, like that. So they're like splitting apart. Okay, so now we move closer to the army objective. So that's where this would come in. So he would at least move to there. So that gets him at least closer to the objective. The river is his issue. And because these guys, he just doesn't have enough movement to go, well actually he does. He can just go this way for 3, and then this is 4, and then he would go up here for 5. Actually, no, it says he would end his turn here for 5. Which stinks, because he doesn't want to be across the river, but that's sort of how it works. Okay, so everybody's moved, except for these guys, and they're not going to. We could do an infiltrate, but that's not going to happen either. Do not move if you're starting adjacent to a VP hex. Do not move if currently surrounded unit would become, Okay, so this one here I think would move. He would go here for 2 and then there for 1 because they want to surround and go into unoccupied hexes. And it's closer just by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not closer. So it's not closer to the army objective. So, but you know what? It gets him away from the river. That is the priority. They would move to an unoccupied hex adjacent to the same allied unit. It would move to that hex, and it would make it so it's not across a river. So it would do that. So with this tank moving here like he did, this unit would also do the same thing. I think that's how they would move, because it costs 2 movement points to go here and 1 more to go there. Boy, this is really testing my limits here. But I think that's accurate. The only thing that seems wonky is the fact that these guys are running up north. I probably would have kept them in here, but that's where the arrows are pointing, and that's what the rules say. I think as far as these guys go, I did it correctly. So anyways, we are at 1 hour. I did say that that was my limit, but let's finish this turn out. So I'm gonna keep going. So now we determine whether they're going to attack. I'm not even gonna bother up here because this is actually a 12 strength set of allied units. And then this is now 7, so they have huge disadvantage there. This is attacking over a river, so they're cut in half. Now that river rule actually applies that these guys would try to get across the river, but the problem is they would go here and then be out of movement points. So that's not gonna happen for them. Also, the given up surround, never mind. So this is 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 4 is 12. And then this is 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. So 6 to 1 odds. They're attacking for sure. Oh, hold on. This is a +1 because it's in a forest. So that's 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4 to 1 odds. They're still attacking for certain. Okay, so their actual odds are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 4 is 15. Hold on, 4, 6, that's 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 12. 12 to 2, their actual odds are 6 to 1. You know, here's what's crazy. I want to do, I want to give them an improved position, and that's what this engineers would do for us. But I have a feeling I maybe shouldn't. Well, anyways, I get to see their card first. So they're going to draw a card, and they're going to get infantry infiltration. So it means they're flanking, but they're already flanking, so that's fine. But they still get the +1. I'm going to do tank battalion. This card doesn't do me any good. So I'm going to just spend it and do tank battalion. And what that does is that gives me a +1 strength. So now it's a 12 to 3, which means they're only 4 to 1 for purposes of battle calculations. And I'm considered to have armor. So they're going to attack with 1, 2 for being elite, 3 for this unit, 4, 5, and then 1 for the tactic, 6. So we're going to draw 6 chits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so see this? This would have been 2 hits on us because it was 6 to 1. Now they're only, oh, I'm sorry, they were only 4 to 1, but I made it, no, they were 6 to 1. I made it so it's 4 to 1. Okay. And look at this, combat engineer, but that's for them, that's not for us. We played the combat engineer. No, we didn't do that. Never mind. I'm smoking. So nothing happens with that one. Is it a city? No. Is it a forest? Yes, it is. Is it a flank attack? Yes. Is it greater than 8 to 1? No. Is it greater than or equal to 4 to 1? Yes. Allied air power? No. Is it a large attack? No. We only drew 6. And is it in a forest? Yes. So we have a D-1 and a D-1. We canceled this and we canceled that. So there's no hits on us. We survive yet again. Hold on. I was low on fuel. I don't think I could have done the tank battalion. Give me a second. I'm low supply. So if in combat, no combat tactic can be played for the unit. So I have to take back my tank battalion, and then I have to figure out these odds again. So those two, that was 3. This one was 4. I know I had that one for 5, and that one was 6. Right there, that's 6 to 1 for D2. That one does hit us. Because I was not able to play the combat tactics, so I don't have the tank battalion. So they really do have 6 to 1 odds on us. So this still doesn't apply, but these two cancel and those two cancel just like before. However, this one was this when I was at 4 to 1 odds because of the tank battalion. But because he's low on supply, I couldn't play the tank battalion. So therefore, it's 6 to 1 odds and it's a double hit. So the good news is when they're low supply, I believe you can still retreat 2 spaces. They can. So I'm going to retreat, and the good news is because this armor is here, I don't get destroyed. So I'm going to retreat 1 and then 2, like that. Because I was not disrupted, I was just on low supply. So now I'm going to be dispersed from this retreat, but this is good because now I'm back in supply. But they did get me out of the forest, and I wasn't destroyed. So that's the good news. So now they got to decide if they're going to be advancing. And so once again, we go in order here. This is another direction, okay? It's not in the direction of the objective. So we already know that for sure he's not going to go another direction. These two, it's also another direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, this would be closer, so we got to go in order here. This is 15, that's 35, and that's 13. So this one would advance into the forest because that's 1 step closer to the objective. And then this guy, he does want to go here because that's actually his primary arrow direction, but we got to look at the chart. And if you see here, the primary, well, actually the first one, look, to go into town or closer to army objective, you can see we need to roll 1 to a 7. So it's a good thing I looked at the chart. I'm trying to do this all with one hand, I apologize. Okay, so see right here, the infantry unit is moving closer to the army objective. So we need to roll a 1 to 7 to see if that infantry would have moved. Let's say the infantry fails to move. Then the other one, the armor, is moving along his primary route, and so he would advance no matter what. But let's say the infantry unit succeeds and I roll a 1 through 7, and so that's going to be the outcome we already have on the board. Then the armor is only going to move his primary route on a 1 to a 6 because 1 unit will already be in that space. Okay, so that's how that works. So so it was my mistake for thinking that infantry would move no matter what. So it's going to roll a 1 through a 7 is a move. So I rolled a 9. So this infantry actually did not move here. And this armor, we don't need to roll anymore. He's moving no matter what into there because that's his primary path. So, and that's actually perfect for the Germans because that armor got across the water. Oh, we still have this one too. Hold on. He would roll as well. And I rolled a 4. And in fact, I rolled them out of order. So this one would have rolled first. Then that one would have rolled second. Let me see this thing about the river. I think he's going to advance no matter what because the river is worth advancing over. It doesn't, well, here it says, or across river. That's what it says. Across river and closer to army objective. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's across the river, but it's not closer to the army objective. So yeah, the die roll would have applied. So now we're going to roll the die for this one. So I get a 6. So he does move in. And then we're going to roll for him, and this is a 1 through 6. I rolled a 3, so the tank will still go. It's a shame, because he really should have crossed. The problem is these are both equidistant to here, so it doesn't satisfy the and condition of it being closer to the objective. He's really screwed, because next time when it's his turn, he's going to have to go around and over the bridge. But anyways, that was a nice free way to get across the river. Okay, so it's our turn. I know I'm at hour 17. I guess I'm going to keep going. I still have 2 cards, because remember I had to take this card back. So what do I do? I think I want to, let's lay some roadblocks with the engineers. So I'm going to play this card, and I'm going to grab 2 roadblock tokens. And I'm pretty sure each one in a non-clear road hex, an allied supply not adjacent to a German unit. Okay? So I'm going to put 1 roadblock here. Well, actually, the roadblock gets cleared the moment an ally moves into it. Ooh, I got to be careful. Boy, it's a little too late to put a roadblock, isn't it? Well, where else would I like to put a roadblock? For sure, up north would be a good idea. These German units are getting close, so if I put a roadblock there and another roadblock there and just put 2 of them up north, that would actually hamper them a bit. Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, German turn. They are activating the 1st Panzer, so I'm glad I did the roadblocks. And this one does not have an event, so we're not going to do an event, so it's going to be a support card. All right, so this is going to be a big turn. I was hoping not to do that, considering how long I've been recording. I'm going to go ahead and stop, and we'll just create another video. How about that? See you in a few. Stay awesome.